Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. As usual, life can be a little bit miserable, life can be a little bit dark, so we're here to bring you as much light and as much joy as we possibly can. And in my pocket I have my bright shining torch. That is Stu. How you doing, Stu?
I thought you were going to call me a bright shining tool for a minute, which would also be fair, you know, but yeah, I'm good.
Excellent. I just didn't know where I was going with that one until the words came out.
Always the best way.
Yes, it is. Really weird week in games. There was this. I don't know whether it's everything's just burning out now, but there was a Nintendo Direct yesterday, and it barely registered with me.
Well, I suppose they've kind of done their big announcement for the year because they don't tend to do very many big game announcements, and it's the new Zelda game, isn't it? And they did that in the early summer. So, yeah, I don't know what else was on display because I haven't bothered with it.
Yakuza Kiwami is coming to Switch.
Okay,
that was their big one more thing at the end of the presentation. There's Capcom Fighters Collection is coming, 2, the second one, but that has Power Stone 1 and 2 in it. So, yes, worth it alone.
Definitely better, yeah.
And do you know the Atari 50 and Jeff Minter collections?
I do.
Right, well, there's going to be a Tetris one.
Oh.
Once again, Digital Eclipse, who used to make really crappy collections, are showing the way forward. It's going to have a whole bunch of the original Tetris in it, documentaries and all kinds of stuff in it, showing game preservation and collections. This is the way forward. It has to be the way forward for everything. Very
good. So, do you know what's collected? Is it like the NES game, the Game Boy game, some of the sequels?
It's got a whole bunch of them. It's got, I don't think it's got the Game Boy version, but what it does have is it has the original NES version. A couple of other, I don't think it's got Grandmaster because that's technically a separate license. I'm not going into Tetris licensing. But it's got a few different ones that were released over the years, including it's got one of those, where you got the silly knockoff ones, that's one they've got on there called Tetris, which I think represents all the silly ones you used to get that was just Tetris with different skins. But it's got a 4-player Tetris through time mode where it basically randomly changes the board you're playing to a skin and a rule set of a Tetris that's included. So it might go from playing NES Tetris to something that was a bit later and stuff like that. And that's an additional mode in there. And it's 4-player. Really cool little idea.
That is really cool. Yeah. That's, like you say, leading the way. That's really good stuff.
Yeah, I love because I think the Lamasoft collection had a remastered version of something, and the Atari one had some this is what this game could be like if it was made today kind of thing. So I'm all in for stuff like that. I think it's a great way to show the history and then show this is what we can move on and do next. And I'd like to see them maybe sort of those things as packages so that maybe down the line they could just add Puyo Puyo Tetris or Tetris Effect in 10 years' time and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really, really cool. A great way of getting retro old games into people's hands and stuff like that.
Very good. Yeah, I appreciate that.
But there was no silks on, if you cared. There was no silks on. But what I will say to anyone listening, any people who watch these conferences, every time there's a conference, don't just go and throw shade on every other game because it's not silks on. I really want it to be rubbish. I can't even remember what the first part, what the actual main game's called anymore. It's something silks on. I can't even remember what it's called.
Hollow Knight.
There we go, yeah. Return to Sleepy Hollow. Yeah, that was the one.
That's the one. The one that neither of us particularly enjoyed. But yeah.
It was right, okay. It's good, but not as good as what people think it is. And silks on, I think, is going to end up disappointing people.
It could well do.
That's why it's taking so long, because the history of games that take forever isn't always good. So anyway.
Very true.
Talking of taking forever and not always good, my intros, Stu.
That's a good segue. I enjoyed that segue.
Yes,
That's a very good segue.
Let's move on to video games, Stu.
Let's do it.
And as usual, or not as usual, as of last week, same as last week, I've got 3, you've got 1. So if you would like to ask the question.
Yeah, absolutely. So what have you been playing?
So I've been playing a roguelike deck builder. Well, surprise. But this one's a bit different. This is an auto battler, turn-based auto battler. With cards and deck building. Tales and Tactics. I spoke about the demo last year at some point, I believe. It's now hit 1.0 and is officially out. Basically, it's basically an auto battler deck builder. So what you do is you get your cards, you use your cards to get like units. You put your units on the playing field, and they go and battle the opposition units. You kill all the opposition units, you win the round. You lose all your units, you lose the round. That's the game. But what this is the reason this got a bit of attention is this is from the people who have been behind the modding scene of Slay the Spire. So automatically you kind of you sit up and take notice because they like the modders of Slay the Spire have done some brilliant jobs. But they've gone on, made their own game, and it's called Tales and Tactics. What I would say, you can see to a degree why they're modders and maybe not game developers. They weren't straight up game developers to start with, because one of the arts of making a video game is the ability to onboard people properly. This is a little bit impenetrable. I've had to play it numerous times to understand how it all works. I don't think the tutorial is that good on it. Even in 1.0, I thought the onboarding was atrocious during early access. It's better, but not great. There's so many things you need to hover over and look at and understand, and so many mechanics you need to understand to play these games. And this, it makes it a bit cumbersome to do. So the idea is you could have unit types. So let's say, for example, let's take it down to most basic. You have none of these are these, but you have rock, paper, scissors as your unit types. That's essentially what all these games boil down to, isn't it? It's a game of rock, paper, scissors just expanded. Yeah. So if you put on like 2 rocks, they have synergy and they will work together, and you can put things on top of so you can then give them like different weapons that then synergize with them. And if you then put down a paper down as well, for example, you could use the weapon on another one to synergize with that. And some of the synergies need to have 3 units, some need to have 2, some maybe do extra stuff with 5. And the idea is to build an army that you put on this hexagonal board that will basically wipe the floor with the opposition using synergy. And again, this has got this from Slay the Spire, because Slay the Spire is all about using card synergy. This is taking it and put it like unit synergy. What I don't like is that it kind of goes, synergies, and then kind of leaves you to it. And you're like, I don't, what, no, who, how? Okay, so you do a lot of experimenting and just fiddling about for quite a while with it. But when it clicks, it's really good, and it does click at some point. It's all like completely no microtransactions, all completely built into the game, and you go through here's the level, it's a fight, here's another level, it's another fight, here's another level, it's a shop, or there's a scenario, all that kind of stuff that you usually get with all these. And unlike other auto battlers, it is turn based, so you set up your army, and then you go, right, go. And that's pretty much it. You wait. You just let them go. That's it. You just wait. So you're preempting what the battle will be and deciding there, and then you just let it go. You can quickly skip ahead and just go, what's the result if you want, or you can watch it happen in real time. Loads of good bits. It's playable on Steam Deck, even though some of the text, like the UI needs improving for Steam Deck use. But overall, it's a solid game. I would argue it's definitely not one for newcomers to either of the genres. It's taken me the best part of a year to really get to grips with it. But yeah, and I think that will be its inherent problem. That it's a really, really good game that's got some really good systems to it. But boy, have you got to spend time to crack that surface.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. It's a fairly crowded market, and you would think that when they came out as a modding group, it had gone full time, as it were, that they'd come out with something that was very polished and very slick and built on the designs that had come before and got them all nailed down, especially after a year of early access. But it sounds as though there's still a few bits and pieces that need kind of tidying up and sharpening, really.
Yeah, I would argue it's. I think this is a game. This is a game aimed at veterans. I honestly believe that. And if that's the direction they want to go, that they're going, right, okay, look, we're going for people who know this shit, then fine. If that's what you want to do that. But I would argue that onboarding needs to be better. It just needs that bit of improvement rather than showing you the basics and then going, have an option for a more hand-holding experience all the way through. Yeah, I like it. That here's the thing, it's not a bad game. It's not one where I'm going, don't play it. I think if you can have the patience and you can get through that first bit, because again, it took me a year, but I was playing it on and off in early access. I still think you need a good few hours to really get to grips with the basics of it. Otherwise, you're going to get through maybe 2-3 rounds and get obliterated every single time. But yeah, it's, as I said, this is where you can tell they're modders, because modders build on something established. They're having to now build from scratch. And I think that shows. But as a first effort for them, it's absolutely brilliant. And I still think if they continue to work on this, it could end up being something quite special. And I don't want to say the No Man's Sky effect, because it's not at that level of, oh my God, what have you done? You've lied about everything. But give it another 2-3 years of active development while it's out. This could become the go-to auto battler. So remains to be seen. It's really, really good, but not for newcomers, definitely.
Got it. Fair enough.
I will quickly, before you move on to yours, another one I've been playing that I don't want to say much about because it's all story based, and I very much hate reviewing story based games because I don't want to ruin anything. But this one is called Reveil. It's Reveil. I'm going to say Reveil. It could be Reveil though. I'm never good, but anyway, it's a psychological horror-based walking simulator interactive movie, essentially story, and it's kind of blends reality and fantasy is the hook on it. Essentially, you wake up as this character completely disorientated in a world that you maybe know but don't know. And you've got to find your wife and daughter. Very much Silent Hill. It's like, oh, this is kind of a recognisable world, but oh my God, what? No, this isn't quite what the world should be like. But it's not Silent Hill. It's very much more in line with What Remains of Edith Finch, Gone Home type affair. And basically you go through this story that I say it's there's an environment and it's like bits that are set in reality, bits that are maybe made up from your memories, and it goes places as to why this is happening, who are your mother and daughter, why are you trying to find them, why are they missing. There's loads of little mini interactive puzzles that aren't too taxing but drive the story along. Absolutely dripping in atmosphere. Some people have said it's really scary and uneasy. I'm not the best person maybe to say whether it is or not because I don't get scared of this stuff. But it does have a lot of atmosphere. It is absolutely dripping in places, and that I really appreciate. The interactive elements are well made. I found when you went on stuff like like Gone Home, I thought was one of the poor examples where you wasn't sure what you was clicking or what made sense. This is quite well signposted in places, and I like that. But what this tends to do, I think, adds further and further weight to what are these games? What is Reveil? What Remains of Edith Finch? Are they games? Are they a new medium now? Because this is like a couple of hours long. I think it's like about 3 to 3.5 hours, depending on how much you want to put into it, which is sitting down for a good movie or a weekend, like an hour and a half one night, couple of hours another night. You get through that. They're not games, but they're not strictly just sit down, watch movies. I think what we're seeing with these games, Reveil is a very good example of it. I think we're starting to see the birth of a new medium that could again, a bit of hyperbole, that in many, 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 many years to come could replace what we see as traditional television or traditional movies or add to it. It's kind of that bit between video game, book, movie, TV show. It's all in there in this experience, because your general video game crowd, I don't think are going to be into this. Your movie-only crowd, they're not going to be into this. But there's somewhere in the Venn diagram is for these interactive stories. It's really, really good at what it does. It's a shame they still seem to go through horror rather than other elements, but it works. I can see why they do it. It is working. It's very interesting. And I would say to people, I'm being deliberately obtuse about the story, but go in as unknowing as you can and just take it all in, because it's very interesting. It's a weekend's worth of playtime, and you should have a pretty decent experience with it.
Yeah, cool. No, it's had some really good points about the new interactive medium, and I think there's a lot in there about, will this fully develop until we've settled on a comfortable and, I don't know, sort of universally agreed type of VR or AR? Because for me, it feels like these sorts of games are a really good fit for what currently is VR, but in future you would want to have as a bit more of an immersive experience without being as painful as wearing VR can be, if you see what I mean. I think if it's going to move forward past being on a flat screen and trying to immerse you through you using a controller, I think it has to move in that direction. But your guess is as good as mine as to where it's going to go. But I'm really glad these sorts of things exist, and this was actually on my wish list for a while, and I think I will pick it up at some point, because I do like kind of dipping into these things. But yeah, no, it looks really, really curious. Like you say, its reach is going to be odd. It'll hit some people right and others it won't. But yeah, it looks good and it's intriguing.
It's got me in the mood for the Until Dawn remake, re-release, whatever it is. It's coming to PC, I believe, as well. So it's got me in the mood for that.
It reminds me a little bit, just in sort of form of presentation, of a little bit of Alan Wake. And after not enjoying Alan Wake 2, I'm kind of thinking it might have been better served if it was a shorter game that was more of an immersive sim rather than an action title. But anyway, that's just my thoughts.
Yes, that can go in many different directions, because I think there's a lot of things Alan Wake could actually do rather than just being Alan Wake, as we know it. But that's a discussion for another day.
It is.
So, what have you been playing, Stu? Because I've been hogging the airwaves. Airwaves? Is it still airwaves? I don't know.
Technically, I suppose it can be. It can still be sent across the air. So we'll go with it. And speaking of being sent across the air, no, I don't know where I'm going with that. That doesn't work. But
before you do, have you got your way? Are you getting Oasis tickets, or are you going to gatekeep from the younger audience? Because there's a lot of gatekeeping going on this week. Oh boy.
Oh yeah. No, I'm going to buy a load of them just so that the youth can't go along. No,
what you need to do is buy them all. Right, if you're really rich, obviously we're not really rich. Buy them all and give them out to teeny boppers.
That would piss everyone off. That'd be great.
I know. The best thing about it, though, with their reunion, is it's brought out that Kevin and Perry sketch has been doing the rounds again, where Perry comes back from Manchester, which is one of my all-time favourite Harry Enfield sketches.
That is very, very astute. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, sorry, video games. Sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted. That was very poor form.
No, that's quite all right. I've been playing a game called Abathor, which is an unofficial sequel or legacy sequel or heavily inspired by kind of from the Rastan stable of gaming. And
what's it called? Abathor?
Abathor, yeah.
What's an Abathor?
Well, I have no idea.
It's for playing, Stu. Come on.
Oh, dear. All right. Can we just skip over that and pretend it didn't happen? I might just edit it out. But yeah, so it's kind of Rastan-y. If you've not played Rastan, and a lot of people probably won't have done because it had a decent arcade game that wasn't amazing. Then it had home ports that varied in quality, and then it had sequels that kind of took it off in a different direction, and they were also kind of lagging behind games of the day, and they got eclipsed by stuff like Golden Axe as well. But yeah, it's a side-scrolling beat 'em up. Much in the vein of, well, the original is kind of its own thing to a degree, but it's just a action platformer. But the modern one is kind of taking cues from some of the classics. You've got bits of the classic Castlevania games in there. I would say that's its biggest influence.
Obviously, it's a Golden Axe in the trailer.
It's got some Golden Axe-y kind of. It's done on a completely horizontal plane rather than it being a 2.5D like Golden Axe, but it still has that kind of that kind of view. So it's very much a kind of Conan rip-off, more so than Golden Axe is. It's deliberately that way, and like the Conan stuff is like, if you've only known it from the films, is actually very different. The books, the stories themselves, like they're short stories. There weren't any real major novels, and other than the horrendous racism, they're actually pretty good. They're very, very evocative, and
just like Jim Davidson.
Yeah, that's right. And they've got a really big.
He was never very good. Sorry.
No, it wasn't. And there's a very big Lovecraft influence to them. So you've got that in the game, like lots of hideous creatures in all of these wild and mysterious and exotic, out of the way places, and that feeds into the way the game looks. And it looks really good. It's obviously it's like in 16:9, not 4:3 as the old game would be. But apart from that, looks very much like the original games in style. And you can choose from 4 characters, which is really, really nice. And there are upgrades, and they're permanent upgrades you buy from killing stuff and getting money, and then spending them at a shop. So all that's kind of expected. So where it's totally excels is what I would say. It is an excellent example of the genre and the form. I was really quite surprised, especially as like the first couple of levels are not amazing. They're okay, they're fine, a little bit pedestrian maybe, but okay. But then it really starts taking off. It's like they developed it chronologically and they kind of worked their way into what they wanted to do. And you've got lovely like touches from like the likes of Golden Axe, from Magician Lord, which it's got a lot of DNA from, and like I say, Castlevania. But you got a load of really nice design. And the best thing that they do, and this is the thing that's lost with a lot of kind of like 8-bit and 16-bit influence games, indie games, is when you start packing the screen with enemies, you've got to make sure all of their patterns interlock, so that the way that you're playing is both exciting but not unfair whilst you're doing traversal. And you've got to make sure that your knockback is correct and that the number of iframes you have after knockback is correct. And it does all of that really, really well. So when you're playing it through, you might not notice it as surface detail, but you'll feel it. You'll feel that connection with the character is really excellent. And you feel like this, grunting oaf when you're playing the Conan type character. And you feel like a thief when you're playing the thief type character. And you've got like the right levels of defense and attack and agility as you'd expect from them. And the platforms are really nicely constructed. It's really atmospheric. It's got that great low fantasy, grungy, nasty kind of blood-soaked feel. It's like a Conan game as well as a Rastan sequel at the same time. They've just learned all their lessons well from the past. I was genuinely really impressed. The only negative I've got about it is that it's a bit long. So for an arcade game, it's a bit long. It's got something like 25 or 30 stages. It's massive. Like they're split up into sort of big areas and then sub areas within that. And it gets some of the things that they try don't work very well, like some forced scrolling sections that just become a bit irritating, and some instant death sections, because you've got a life bar, but if you fall down a pit you're dead, and that costs you a continue, and if you're playing it on normal you only get 5 continues, so it's pretty brutal if you pick that normal mode. So I would say those are like slight missteps, bit too long for an arcade game, and a little bit too punishing and unbalanced in some areas, but generally beautifully balanced, really, really excellent design, lovely sprite work, great nod to the past while making sure that you got enough of the present and some of the classics in there. If you're into this sort of thing like I am, it's a real blast from the past, a genuinely great package, and you should go and get it straight away.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I was never overly good at those sort of games, but I always enjoyed playing them. And I think that's always a good sign of a good solid game, if you're not that good but you still enjoy them. I think I'm going to wish list this one, and then I'm going to mod it to have the ABBA soundtrack on the background.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's the only way to go. Like you said, if you're not good at them, I would say if you pick the right difficulty setting, it's not too bad. It's still always going to be difficult, but it's not as difficult as like Black Tiger, which is like astonishingly hard.
It is
arcade game by Capcom from the dim and distant past. You can tell I've played basically all of these games over the years.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's a really, really nice addition. It won't wow anyone or win over anybody who's not already into that kind of thing, I don't think. But yeah, nice blast from the past.
I assume it's because it's a modern game and not obviously an actual retro re-release. It doesn't have save states and things like that.
No, it doesn't. No. In fact, if you die, if you play on normal and you got 5 credits, if you use those 5 credits up in a stage, you die and go back to the beginning of that stage. So even if you're at say stage 2-5, so you're right at the end, if you run out of credits, you go back to stage 2-1. So that's like pretty brutal. But there is an easier mode which basically doesn't change the game and make it that much easier. It just gives you 99 credits.
Fair enough.
Which I would recommend most people play it on, because otherwise you're going to get annoyed by not having save states and annoyed by having to go back and do half an hour's worth of gaming again to get back to where you were.
But I like that you could have the actual full-on arcade experience of you've pumped a few quid into the machine and barely got off level 1 if you want. I like having those options, but also making it accessible enough for others. Fair enough. Yeah, it's on the wish list, I think. When I'll pick it up, who knows? But it's on the wish list.
Good stuff.
My final game of this week that I can talk about, because I've got loads I can't talk about yet. Did you like gaming in the early 2000s, Stu?
Yes.
Do you like cats, Stu?
Very much so.
Do you like hoverboards, Stu?
I do.
Do you like really, really bad, over-the-top, but strangely interesting graphics, Stu?
I kind of do, yes.
Yes. Well, I've got the game for you, Stu.
It really sounds like it.
Gori, Cuddly Carnage, it's about a cat that looks a bit like Blinks the Time Sweeper. Don't ask me why. Just does. But isn't anything to do with Blinks the Time Sweeper, I should add, who has a sentient hoverboard companion that he rides, and basically does tricks and stuff on it, like grinding rails like you get in Jet Set Radio, but also using it as a weapon to attack really badly drawn, if you pause and go close to a badly drawn unicorn enemy type things and other types of enemies that look really like, they don't look like good graphics, but it works. It's an art style that works. They're ugly as sin, and I think that's through choice. But you get like these hordes of of like different types of enemies come at you. It's like very much a Musu Tony Hawk slasher game with a cuddly cat type creature on a sentient hoverboard.
Oh God, not another one of them.
I know, just still 10 a penny these, that has a Devil May Cry style battle system that rewards you for how well you attack enemies and levels and stuff like that, with all kinds of power-ups, traversal. It goes different types of places. It's just an assault on the senses. The colours are like it's cyberpunk, but it's like just full of neon colours everywhere. It's like someone's taken sort of like a neon splat gun and just thrown it at the screen. It's got like one of the enemies is like this giant claw hand that you can go, you attack it and it can explode the giant claw hand, and you get like pinks and yellows and greens of all different types of neon, and then blood, and you're just moving through constantly fast, and you're taking down these really weird unicorn looking things that get progressively more interesting and get more powers, and you're decapitating different parts of their body and everything. It's just like, it's you start and you just go. It's constantly go. It's like having a conversation with me, Stu. Right? It's non-stop. And the different things you can do with your ball are really interesting, different upgrades you can get. Like at one point you can ride your ball, but then you can turn your ball into like this God of War style chain thing that you can attack enemies with. Another one is you can turn it into a spinning blade. You can turn it into a gun. Whilst doing tricks, you have to do tricks to replenish fuel and energy, which you use for certain moves, and it's kinetic. It's just go constantly. I played the demo last year, and this is now coming out as of, well, just literally comes out tomorrow. So we're Wednesday, so we're recording early. So Thursday, it's out when you're listening to this, essentially. And honestly, this when you talk about sleeper hits, this might be one. And honestly, I don't know where this is going to land in any end of year discussion, because it's so unique, but at the same time, I don't know who it's going to grab, but it should grab everyone, because it is just the soundtrack just out of this world. It's just like, I don't know. It's like there's metal. It's constant metal in your head. You're like bang, 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 bang. It's ADHD, the game, Stu. I think it's the only way I can describe it. That's what it is. It's ADHD, the game.
Yeah.
Set in this really weird Toyland type, futuristic Toyland, and like there's these mutated toys that come after you. There's collectibles everywhere. Your sentient skateboard's called Frank, and I don't know why. I can't remember why. There's another computer, I think, called Chip, who is also your AI companion. So you've got all these different companions that are talking to you. The comedy is cringeworthy bad, but it works because it's cringeworthy bad. And it's just, you can't look at a still in this game and go, oh yeah, this looks good. Stills make this game look awful. Videos make it look interesting. Playing it, oh my God, play it. Just play it. It is just something else. Something else indeed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Excellent. Yeah, no, you had me at the very first line. Yeah, that's on the wish list. Yeah, it looks like it's really doing its job.
Do you see what I mean by it looks ugly in the right way?
Yes, yeah. It's a pastiche. It's deliberate, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really actually just because I know this is a slight change of pace, but the one of the developers of Dishonored, the creator of Dishonored, was talking about his new game that he's making and going after style over like realistic graphics because it lasts better. Well, I actually started playing Dishonored again recently for, what's that, a 10-year-old game, 12-year-old game now?
Oh, it's got to be, like that. Yeah. Got to be something like that.
Still looks really good because of the stylized. And this, it's ugly, but it's deliberately ugly, will stand the test of time visually as well, I think, because it's nailed what it wants to be. So yeah, pick it up. I don't even know how much it is, but whatever it is, it's worth it. They could charge 60 quid for this. I think you'd get fun out of it. I don't think it will be 60 quid. In fact, I'm going to have a quick look see if I've got a price for it. No, I haven't.
I think it's about 25 quid.
Oh, yeah, easy.
Yeah. So currently it is, let's have a look. I can't find the price now. Why is it doing that to me?
On Steam, it's not out. That's why.
It's not out.
I'll just look at my press release. There we go. $17.99. Buy it, and it runs perfectly on Steam Deck as well. By the way, just pop that in if you need any more setting. But yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. Get it.
Yeah, it's on the list. I've got Astrobot pre-ordered, so that's taken all my cash.
Oh, is that out soon?
Yeah, that's out a week on Friday, as of recording, September the 6th.
I'll wait to hear about it.
It's one of the only games coming out this year that's like AA or AAA that I'm actually buying. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I want to play that. I've got a feeling I might have to wait to actually play that when it eventually gets a PC release. I don't think the Steam Deck will be able to run it.
No.
Steam Deck 2 should be able to.
Yeah. Probably. As long as they get an emulator working, then yeah.
I've just finished talking about Gori, Cuddly Carnage, and my first email I've just seen that's just popped up on the MHG email account is about a car with legs. So, from one insane thing to the other, I have knackered myself out talking about Gori.
Yeah. Yeah, but quite rightly, yeah. I think it's probably the time to leave it there.
I think so. I shut up now, but I'm too tired to say
it. Yeah, fair play. So, as usual, follow us on all the socials. Make sure you check out all of our content on the website. There's the excellent indie roundups that are done by Brad. Make sure you check those out too, as you will do, as they're part of the website. But there you go. What am I talking about? Anyway, join us on Discord if you want to chat about anything and everything. And other than that, enjoy your week, stay safe and stay sane.